Hi everyone, I'm Joshua, also known as Dose, and welcome to the very first video on my YouTube channel. Right, on this channel, we're going to be discussing a variety of sports from football to tennis to basketball to American football to the Olympics. We'll be covering lots of sporting events, and I myself am a sports enthusiast. Unlike a lot of people around the world, we aren't just interested in one sport. We have stakes in many teams across many sports. So I am here to bring those sports to you. Now, what better way to start my sporting channel than with the beautiful game, the World Cup 2026, being hosted in Canada, the US, and Mexico? Right? We're going to be talking about my tournament winner, my prediction for Golden Boot, my biggest upset, my dark horse, and my final semi-final bracket, my semi-final bracket leading into the final and third place game, and then you guys would have your say at the end of it. Okay, so let's get straight into it. Starting with my prediction for the tournament winner. I don't think this would be much of a surprise to much people, but I have the defending European champions to win it all in the World Cup 2026. I have Spain as eventual champions. Why? I think unlike any other team in this World Cup, Spain have the perfect blend, talent and teamwork. Right? Many of their players have experience going far in tournaments for their club, but this group of Spanish players specifically has collective experience in winning and to a lesser extent, a la the Nations League, losing of, just to put it out there immediately, in my opinion, they also have the best player in the world, and that is Lamine Yamal. But before we get into Lamine Yamal, let's focus on where Spain, I think, would live and die in this competition. I believe the hopes of all Spain rests on the shoulders of the midfield. From Pedri to Gavi to Rodri to Zubamendi to Dani Olmo to Merino, I think all of them have to be on the A game for Spain to even have a chance of being in the final in New York this year. And looking at their wide players in Iñaki Williams and Lamine Yamal, I believe their pace and directness opens up the field for their midfielders to thrive, right? Spain don't traditionally play with a out and out number nine. They haven't done so in the past couple of years, and it has still worked for them. I believe the pace of those players and the 1v1 ability, the technicality of Yamal and Williams opens space for Oyarzábal, for Ferran Torres, for Dani Olmo, for Mikel Merino, who sometimes plays in number nine. I think the wingers have a really good chance of providing opportunities for their midfielders and false nines. Again, as the reigning European champions, they possess a winning mentality. We have seen them, especially Lamine, rise to the occasion in the semi-final and in the final of the European Championships against France and England, respectively. We've seen that. I think their core group of players, for me, play with the chemistry of a club team, which makes sense because 8 of their 23-man squad plays for Barcelona, and an additional 2 came from La Masia, the youth academy. So I think Barcelona's roots run very deep within the Spanish national side, and I believe it has paid dividends for them and will pay dividends for them in this tournament. I also think their defense is being a little underestimated. Now, I know players like Cubarsí and Eder Garcia, who play for Barcelona, aren't necessarily the best of defenders, but they play in a high line. This is a different setup to Hansi Flick's Barcelona. I think De La Fuente's influence on the team has them more defensively sound. Cubarsí and Eder Garcia, that is. And also their fullbacks are not too bad as well. I like Pedro Porro playing for Spurs. I like Marc Cucurella playing for Chelsea, and also Alex Grimaldo from Bayer Leverkusen. I think they have a good squad. The keeper situation is a little bit strange. I get the feeling they're going for more consistency and continuity as opposed to the more informed players like David Raya, who was just in the Champions League final 11 days ago and won a Premier League for Arsenal, and also Joan Garcia, who just won La Liga with Barcelona, and both of them have been outstanding, but has shown the ability to be consistent and reliable in the biggest of moments. So I trust the coach and the coaching staff to know what they're doing as far as the keeping situation goes. But yeah, that is Spain is my pick for the final and to win it all. I just think they have the best team. The core group of players who are all young have the experience. They are just very prolific in all areas that you judge a World Cup champion by. So I'll give them that. Now moving on to my prediction for Golden Boot. And spoiler alert, obviously, is Kylian Mbappe. I have to have Kylian. I just have to. I understand he did not have a good enough campaign for Madrid as far as trophies go. But he scored 25 goals in La Liga. That is an amazing record. All he does is score goals. And for France, he just raises his game another level. You saw that in the last World Cup final. A hat-trick in the final that hasn't been done since Pelé. Right? So I believe Kylian Mbappe will win the Golden Boot. And his supporting cast, I mean, anyone with that supporting cast would score goals. Far less for Kylian Mbappe. It's been reported that Kylian is going to play number 9 with Ousmane Dembele right behind him and alongside Desire Doué and Michael Olise on the wings. Not to mention Ryan Cherki coming off the bench, Marcus Thuram coming off the bench, Kolo Muani also coming off the bench. France just have too much firepower for Kylian to not have a good campaign, at least scoring goals right now. They're not my pick to win it all, but I believe France will be going very far and Kylian will have a part to play, a huge part to play in that. In the group stages, I would say France have a relatively easier group for Kylian to pad the stats a little bit. Right? The team that they should be most concerned about, and concern is a really strong word, is Senegal, and they aren't a defensive juggernaut by any stretch of the imagination. I believe they're going to get a good result against Senegal, and whilst Norway may have a good attack, I don't believe in their defense at all. I think France is going to just run through them, right? And also Iran. Iran isn't really saying much either. So I believe Kylian is going to have a good footing for the Golden Boot race going in to the knockout stages. And I believe he would have extra motivation given that other than the Golden Boot, he didn't win any trophies for Real Madrid. So he's going to want to win the World Cup, which means he's going to want to go far. And going far means scoring goals, and that's what he's best at, scoring goals. So I have faith in Kylian. I don't think they're going to win, but Mbappe is the man. Moving on to my biggest upset. Now, everyone's bracket is going to be different depending on who you have finishing first, second, and third in each group, right? Now, I have, in the round of 32, I have Mexico to play Ivory Coast and winning against Ivory Coast. And I also have England to play the Democratic Republic of Congo and winning against the DR Congo. I have them winning. Now that sets up Mexico versus England in Mexico City. In Mexico City. Now I have a lot of faith in the host countries this year, probably barring Canada, but I have a feeling, an inclination, that the US and Mexico are going to go further than people think. Now, Mexico especially are rabid football fans. And most of their games, I believe, up until the round of 16, are being played in Mexico City. Those fans are going to be crazy. It's going to be Looney Tunes inside of there. I can't wait to see I can't wait to see the environment. That is what you call real home field advantage. I believe this England squad, there were questions around the selection of some players by Thomas Tuchel, leaving home the likes of Phil Foden and Cole Palmer, right? Bringing in Ivan Toney, who I think is a good player, especially good with penalties. But I think it's going to take some time for them to gel all together. They are coming off a really, I would say, tense run of tournaments. The last tournament in the Euros, they lost to Spain in the final. The tournament before that, they lost to France in the quarterfinals of the World Cup. And the tournament before that, they lost to Italy in the final of the Euros. Now, I believe they're going to take a bit of a step back. And I believe in Mexico City is the place where it all comes tumbling down. Now, I think they're a good side, they'll make it to the round of 16, but I just think they're going to take a step back. And Mexico, this will be the first time they will move on from the round of 16. And what better place to do it than in Mexico? Now, my dark horse team, it really depends. It really depends on how you look at dark horses. Now, could a dark horse team be the team with the fifth best odds to win the World Cup? Some will say yes, some will say no, right? But I have Brazil as my dark horse. That may not be a Brazil is always good for the most part. They always make it to the quarterfinals, as it seems. But I just think Brazil have the capability to make it to the semifinals and they may even make it to the finals if they click on all cylinders. I think Carlo Ancelotti is going to be a welcomed addition to that squad. He has countless experience in tournaments, most notably the Champions League with Real Madrid. But the players at his disposal, I believe he's going to have the management skills to keep them all in order and have them playing at their highest ability. I have a lot of faith in Brazil in this World Cup, whilst others may not, but Brazil always come to play. They're passionate. Their fans travel. I believe they have what it takes to go really far in this tournament. Now, if you wanted a more of a dark horse type dark horse, I would also go with the US. Again, I have a lot of faith in the host nations of this tournament. I have Mexico and the US both exiting at the round of 16, but I don't think anyone has them going that far. I think the US are going to ride the backs of their fans. I believe they're going to be present in every stadium. I believe it's going to be wild. I just think the US have a good chance to make it far in this World Cup. Now for my final bracket predictions. I have France beating Morocco and Spain beating the United States, set up an all-European final in Dallas on July 14th. And I also have Brazil beating Mexico and Argentina beating Portugal, Portugal of all teams, to set up an all South American final and a bitter rivalry, Atlanta on July 5th. And as you already know, I have Spain beating France, a rematch of the 2024 European semi-final. And I have Spain winning narrowly, right? And to join Spain in the final, I have taken Argentina over Brazil. I believe Argentina as a collective will be too much for Brazil, and being the current reigning defending champions will have a lot to say in reaching to the final. Now in the final, I have Spain coming out on top over Argentina just because of their youth, their tenacity, their teamwork, just their togetherness. I believe is a bit more refreshing, a bit more energetic, and will be too much for Argentina in the final. Now, guys, that brings us to the end of the video. Drop in the comments who y'all have winning it, who y'all have winning the Golden Boot, your dark horses, your upset predictions, and your final bracket. Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll catch y'all in the next one. See ya. Next level.